Bienvenue. Okebo. Okumajaga. Tifamo Dundap. Moses. Lord Mayor. Yumejo. Ajo. Even Kazenene.
Everyone, and welcome to Ekubi EjT. This is an Ejagham tradition series that engages on critical discussions on Ejagham tradition and culture. It is a program of EjT. My name is Ekubi, and with me today is the president and founder of Ejagham tradition, Engineer Anom. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me.
So the first question that comes to mind is, how did this idea of Ejagham tradition come about?
Yes, thanks for asking that question. But first of all, let me say thank you to all the Ejagham people who are listening today and our friends as well. It's my pleasure to be in this program to try and clarify some things in relation to, as related to Ejagham tradition, EjT. So yeah, it's been, as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. When you have challenges, you then look for solutions to resolve these challenges. You don't run away from them. You don't surrender. So I am one of those who have been complaining about how Ejagham traditional practices and our cultural expressions are slowly dying away. I'm not oblivious of the fact that actually that is happening. But it took a certain situation for it to really ring in my head that we needed to do something about it. And I'll explain. I went home to meet my family, to try and enjoy Christmas with my family. And I'm saying, this home is relative now. Home is where I work. I am someone who grew up in Ejagham land. And I enjoyed all the cultural practices, all the expressions, all the dances, the way we talk, the way we wine, the way we dine. And work took me away from all that. So, given the 21st century, I thought, in spite of not being close to home, I would do my best to enjoy what home provides. I.e., that is, go to the internet and look at the things related to Ejagham. So myself and my wife and my son were talking about it, and I was preparing that in the evening, the Christmas Eve, we would do that. It turned out that my son went ahead of me and looked on the internet to try and get all the Ejagham entertainment things before the evening. But the feedback I got was shocking. Shocking in the sense that I thought in the 21st century there was nothing you couldn't find on the internet, including activities of Ejagham tradition. But the feedback was that, Daddy, there isn't much about Ejagham tradition that we can use. And I told my son that can't be right, Go have a good look. Why obviously he checked, so he was sure what he said. And I just had to put him away, to buy time to find out if that was a fact or not. So I went on the internet myself and checked. Lo and behold, there wasn't much on the internet about Ejagham. You will find little things here and there, and one paragraph about Ejagham, and as the text progresses, there's not much to talk about Ejagham anymore. You might find one or two masquerades here and there, but that's it. There was no portal where rich Ejagham traditional activities could be found, so you could enjoy yourself. That confirmation gave me a reason to think of a solution. It just lighted up in my head that we have a problem. Because I was then challenged. If my son is asking me to provide him information about my culture, and I couldn't. So I didn't need any other thing to tell me that, Daddy, you have to do some work. So that was how I got to work. I then realized that we needed to do something about it. Stop complaining, stop sitting on the fence, do something. It doesn't matter how little, but we needed to do something. And then I started writing, I started checking, I started reading about, Ejagham tradition generally. In fact, I started reading about tradition. I even got to know even more that there were other traditions out there on the World Wide Web, and Ejagham was completely missing. Put it in context. I thought, okay, I'm going to start my bid, and hopefully have people that will join forces together to make sure we change this trend. So I started making phone calls to friends. I actually came up with how do I progress with this? What am I going to tell people that I'm going to call so that it appeals to them? So I made phone calls to my friends, to my close friends, and I told them what I was, trying to do. And that I needed them to then give me phone numbers of people, influential Ejagham sons and daughters who are in positions that can effect some change to this pending situation, to this prevailing situation. And that was how EjT started.
Wow, that's amazing. And right now, the organization is hitting a membership strength. But what was the response like when you tried to reach out to people at this embryonic stage of at that point when you were trying to build out this idea? What was the response of the people you contacted?
Interesting. I wasn't oblivious of the fact that this was something that people have tried. I wasn't oblivious of the fact that people were complaining about it. So, in that context, I knew that I was taking on something that some people will appreciate, others may not. But I had the conviction that this is about Ejagham. This is not about politics. This is not about religion. This is not about how businesses rise and fall. This is about the value of Ejagham people. So I was convinced that, tough as it might be, at some point, there will be some traction. So when I called people, there was a mixed bag. There was excitement, there was frustration, there was a huge welcome. There was, people reminding me of efforts that have taken place in the past. I was getting caution. I was getting advice from everywhere. And that kind of pushed me, that kind of, got me moving. Yes, there were people that said, well, this thing has been tried in the past, we couldn't succeed because of A, B, C. But of course, I didn't dwell on the negative responses. I took the positive ones, and those ones drove me to where we are today.
That's so interesting. The organization is registered with Corporate Affairs Commission as Ejagham Tradition. And why did you choose the name Ejagham Tradition? Because critical minds will say, does that cover culture, or how do we reconcile this?
I actually pondered about the name of the organization. And I knew in my mind that if I threw that to a debate, it would be a long debate to try and name an organization that is going to deal with issues that cut across the entire Ejagham nation. And quite a few names came to my head. But I thought, what is that thing that binds the entire Ejagham nation together? What is it? In my mind, that is what will fly. So the name Ejagham Tradition came to mind naturally. And some people might say, well, why did you call it culture? In reality, what our forefathers, our forebears, handed over to us, which we're trying to revive today, are, our culture, which really includes our beliefs, our values, our objects, our culinary activities, our festive events, our knowledge of nature and the universe, agriculture, medicine, and the likes. All of this put together constitute what we refer to as culture. Those that persist over the years, 10 years and above, those become our custom, Ejagham custom. These customs all put together are what we refer to as tradition. It is those customs that we would then transmit from one generation to another. So when you talk about tradition, and scholars might challenge this, I'm not an academician, but you will then understand why I call it tradition. Because it then caters for culture, it then caters for the customs, it caters for the values, it caters for the whole lot as it relates to culture, tradition, values, customs, etc. But more importantly, when you see that name, Ejagham Tradition, unless you're not an Ejagham person, you cannot miss it.
I think the nomenclature does not really matter because the objective of the organization cover all aspects of the Ejagham heritage, vis-a-vis everything that concerns the Ejagham person. And in 2019, Ejagham tradition EjT made it possible for all Ejagham cluster to take to the streets of Calabar and demonstrate as a united entity for the first time. And we could see the Bako, the Kwa, the Akamba, the Tung, and Ejagham Cameroon parading in the just concluded Calabar Cultural Carnival. How did that make you feel when you saw the excitement on the street?
But it's not just about Ejagham, Kwa Ejagham, Akamba Ejagham, Tung Ejagham, Bako Ejagham, and Ejagham Cameroon. Ejagham does exist in more countries than two. We are aware of that. History tells us. There's Ejagham in South Africa, there's Ejagham in Cuba, there's Ejagham in 27 other countries of the world. It is going to be a global unity. It's not just about Ejagham Cameroon and Ejagham Nigeria. It is Ejagham all over the globe. So that is our mission. We are going to unite the entire Ejagham wherever they exist to showcase and put our Ejagham tradition on the community of cultures so that next time our forefathers wake up from their sleep, they will know that we haven't let them down. Now, talking about how did I feel? How else would I feel? I felt good. Unfortunately, I couldn't be part of that physically. But to see that, my thought that the problem I was suffering, I was going through with my family, with my children, is common to a whole lot of people in our clusters of Ejagham Nation. That gave me a lot of courage to say, okay, this is just not singing and dancing on the street. There is more to do. Where is the intellectual part of Ejagham? The researches that Ejagham people have done. The books that they have written. Where are Ejagham movies? We need to turn all these, the potential of Ejagham people into making sure that the Ejagham community and the people within Ejagham people are empowered as a result of this. So far, you say Ejagham tradition and people think about it all about singing and dancing. No, it is about what makes Ejagham thick. How did our forefathers preserve Ejagham culture? Nsibidi was invented by Ejagham people 500 BC. I still owe my forefathers a lot of gratitude. How did they preserve that? How did they preserve Ube? How did they export Ube? And we, today, in the 21st century, we are complaining for urbanization, technology. I think we have grown above that. We need to take advantage of technology, urbanization, migration, whatever the devices of the 21st century. Those things are what we should take advantage of because we have the wherewithal. We have the people. You remember when I told you that I was calling, I asked my colleagues to give me phone numbers. I got phone numbers of professors, doctors, Ntunkais, Ntufans. I got phone numbers of people across the disciplines you can think of. And our membership today, which is well over 500 strong, there are all kinds of people in our organization. So why should we, by any chance, allow technology, allow urbanization, allow modernization to swallow Ejagham tradition? We need to take advantage of this, this phenomenon, and then make sure that we preserve our heritage for future generations.
Well, thank you so much for the response. Well, a lot of young people would be wondering, Ejagham tradition, and there is some kind of demonization to certain aspects of our tradition, which discourages a lot of young people from coming to the forefront of promoting their own culture and heritage, with some level of inferiority complex, as though if you speak your language, if you dance the way your people dance, you are a lesser human being. How is the organization positioned to eradicate this?
Well, as you'll appreciate, this is a new organization. Our objectives are clear. Our mission is clear. The details are going to be worked out as we constitute ourselves. However, the main ID of any entity, of any group, is their language. So, if anybody is thinking that his or her language is inferior, well, think again. Because what identifies you as an Ejagham person, first and foremost, is your language. Then the rest come to play, whether it's singing and dancing, or the way you cook, the way you talk to somebody, the way you greet your elders. Those ones make it thick. But the main thing is your language. If you are shy about your language, think again. Your language is who you are. So how are we positioned to change that? But this is why I talk about urbanization. Because, these vices are not supposed to diminish our culture. Whether it is the language, whether it's the food we eat, whether it is, how we play, whether it is how we uphold our institutions. These things, these vices of the 21st century, we are supposed to grab them, use them to modernize, use them to update, use them to educate our children in order to promote our heritage. So we are going to be constructive about this. We are going to be objective about this. There is no illusion. Our language is disappearing in many sectors of the Ejagham cluster. And in speaking to all the people I told you I spoke with, they all attest to the fact that something needs to be done. Prior to now, there was an event hosted by the Academia of Ejagham. They attested to the fact that something has to be done about Ejagham tradition, Ejagham language. So there is no easy way to this. This is not going to be easy. But as long as we are determined, as long as we all work together, we will be able to pick up this heavy lift. But the way to do it is to be strategic, is to be constructive, is to be engaging, and is to be resilient. The reason I say that is urbanization has crept into our environment, and to be able to turn that around, it is going to be an uphill task, because our parents speak other languages with their children. We are taught other languages in school. So where are the opportunities for us to interact in our own language? No, the opportunities are far and few. So we are all swallowed by advancement by technology. Recently, after, as a result of the Ejagham tradition, I've been trying to communicate a lot. I send my text to my friends in Ejagham language. So that when I type Ekubi, the device speaks the rest of it. This device now recognizes Ejagham language that I use in communication. That is what we need to do. We need to entrench, try and engage with our elders, our traditional custodians, our paramount rulers, our clan heads, our businessmen, our policy makers. If we just think that this is going to happen out of the blue, it's not going to happen. We need to take deliberate steps within our communities, within our age grades, within the church, within the schools, within our markets, in our meetings. Where 2 or 3 Ejagham people meet, the language should be Ejagham. You only speak English for convenience, or other languages for convenience. Where 2 or 3 Ejagham people meet, the language, the lingua franca has to be Ejagham. That is how we are going to change this. And we need everybody's help on this. There's no way EjT will succeed thinking that the name EjT will make any difference. It is the people, the dedication, the commitment of the entire clusters. And I'm not saying Ejagham Camp or Ejagham Core. I mean Ejagham Nation, wherever we are. It is that commitment that will make a difference.
Thank you so much for that elaborate response, Mr. President. Now let's understand who is eligible to join EjT.
Eligibility of EjT is not under question. EjT is an organization for every Ejagham person. Whether it's from Ejagham, whether your father is from Ejagham, whether both of your parents are from Ejagham, as long as you have Ejagham blood flowing in your bloodstreams. Whether you live in Ejagham land or whether you have never been to Ejagham land before, but you are your lineage is Ejagham, you are eligible.
Amazing. And what are membership responsibilities? Does the organization have the responsibilities that are given to members?
Well, as you would appreciate, we are still building our membership. The one thing is clear. Our mission is clear. Our objectives are clear. Now, our vision is also clear. We want to be the one-stop shop for Ejagham traditional practices and cultural expressions. Whether it is on research, whether it is on books, whether it is on our food, whether it is on our craft, whether it is about our design. We need to have a one-stop shop. That is our vision. Hopefully we'll get there. But, when you ask what is the responsibility of members. There are quite a lot of people that saw Ejagham tradition on the internet and they just logged on and registered and became members. There are people who were told. There are people who got to know by through their friends and relatives. There are people who saw Ejagham tradition on Facebook. Now, for people who saw Ejagham tradition on the global platform and joined, it tells me that they know what they're coming for. It tells me that they understand what that name stands for. It also tells me that they understand the challenges that the Ejagham tradition is facing, that the Ejagham nation is facing in relation to their tradition. So therefore, it's not, in my opinion, I don't think people are coming in thinking, all right, I'm there, what am I going to do now? People know exactly the challenges we are facing. But it is up to the leadership of Ejagham tradition to make sure we put everything in context so that people understand what they can do, when, and how. We are trying to promote Ejagham tradition by documenting it, by digitalizing it, by disseminating it. I'm pretty sure in other efforts, people must have thought of other strategies on how to enhance Ejagham tradition. That's fine. And people really, wherever you are, whatever it is you are doing to promote Ejagham tradition, please continue to do that. Whether it is in your age grade, whether it is in your community, whether it is in your meetings, in Abuja, in wherever you are, continue to do that. EjT is not stopping any of that. The festivals you organize, you need to continue with that. But our strategy is, we are going to take whatever Ejagham people are doing in their clusters that they have been doing in silos that people don't know about. We need to tell the story. We need to tell the story the Ejagham way. People have been telling Ejagham stories, from my understanding. But it's about time that we tell our story and tell it the right way. And then when we have told this story, we put it in the area where 21st century traditions are working. So, in reality, in practical terms, the responsibilities of our members is to ensure that they tell other people about Ejagham and continue to grow the membership. It is to make sure we volunteer. Remember, this is a non-profit organization. It's to make sure they volunteer in events that are organized by EjT. It's to make sure they take the message about EjT to their age grades in their local communities. It's to make sure people, we approach people who can donate. We need funds to document, to digitalize, to disseminate. There's no question about that. So all members have the responsibility to make sure they disseminate, in other words, they tell other people about Ejagham tradition and continue to grow the membership. They need to volunteer. They need to donate. Donation in cash and in kind. People who have material, as I said, you organize events, whether it is age grade, whether it is naming ceremony, whether it is marriage. When was the last time you had a birthday party and you had Ejagham music in that birthday party? When was the last time you attended a wedding and you heard from beginning to end about Ejagham? When was the last time you went to a church, especially in the cosmopolitan areas, in the cities, and you heard Ejagham language, Ejagham songs being sung there? When was the last time you went to a city and said, okay, let me go and eat epanafu or a when was the last time you saw somebody in the house of in the Senate? I look at when the cameras are on, you look at the Senate and you can tell that that man is from Benue State. You can tell that that man is a Hausa man. You can tell that that person is a Yoruba man. We have Ejagham people in those houses, in the Senate, in the House of Representatives, in the State House of Assemblies. We have them there. But can you tell me when was the last time you looked at that camera and you identified an Ejagham person by the outfit? I'm not saying it's not there, but please tell me, what do we identify Ejagham people with in terms of our outfit? So we have a lot to do. So if you can cook, if you belong to the culinary industry, if you belong to media and entertainment, if you are in the legal community, if you are in the academia, we need all resources. We need people to direct us on how researches are done. We need people to tell us on how we can do competitions in cooking. We need people, we have successful businessmen, but we need these businessmen to come with their experience and tell the youth of Ejagham how they became successful. That way we can empower Ejagham people. Quite a lot of people in Ejagham are skilled in a lot of things. We have a lot of skilled craftsmen. We have a lot of skilled people who are even studied how to, the entertainment business, media and entertainment. We have Ejagham people who can cook. We have Ejagham people who can sew clothes. The point I'm making is, these people can do these things, but they don't know how to run these things as businesses. So we need entrepreneurs in Ejagham. We need people who have succeeded in business to come and tell Ejagham people. Remember, I said it's not about all singing and dancing. It's about the intellectual content. So we need people with that experience to come and tell Ejagham how they succeeded. We have MBAs in Ejagham. Now, when you keep all this knowledge to yourself, how are we going to grow? So when you ask me the question, what is the responsibility of members? Well, figure it out. If you have these skills, if you are good at, with cameras, we need you to document. We need you to digitalize. If you are in ICT, as they say, we need your knowledge. If you are a politician, we need your political strength. We need all kinds of help in order to move. Let's not be under any illusion. It is a heavy lift. It is really a heavy lift. And I was reading on our platform moments ago when one of our members alluded to the fact that to turn this around, and in terms of our language, it's going to be an uphill task. He did say on the platform that we need to engage knowledge of our, in quote, doctors, professors, and we have them. So we need all hands to be on deck, whatever department, whatever the skills you have, we need all that knowledge, we need all that experience. Never mind the 5 bullet points that are on the internet, we need a whole lot more than that. So don't think that I'm a nurse, I have nothing to contribute. Yes, you have something to contribute. How do nurses grow? When I wanted to form to create the website of Ejagham Tradition, I made a request that please, do you know of any Ejagham person who can build a website? And I was given information that somebody who knows how to build a website. So I told my colleague, please approach this gentleman and tell him what we are about to do. And the gentleman sent a message to me that we can go and look on the internet and follow the instructions. Now, that, again, challenged me. It's because we perhaps we are shy, or we don't have confidence in who we are. But we have a lot of confidence when it comes to politics. We have a lot of strength when it comes to politics. We need to channel that energy, that strength, to try and build our heritage. If we build our heritage, if we come together as one, there is no mountain we cannot move. We need to empower people. And I've told my colleagues that whatever we do around Ejagham Tradition, it must result in the well-being of Ejagham people. We need to explore the socio-economic potential of Ejagham Tradition to the empowerment of Ejagham people and the local communities.
Now, thank you so much for the expanded response, which is covering very many other questions intended. Because one question I was going to ask is, how are people going to get their life better from this, from the activities of this organization? You gave a very fine illustration of that.
I can still add to that actually, because in this pursuit of Ejagham Tradition, we are going to organize competitions about cooking Ejagham food. We are going to organize competitions about sewing outfits. If we don't have one already, we need to create one.
Sure.
That people will look and say, this is an Ejagham outfit. Sure. We are going to organize competitions in oral language. We are going to organize debates in Ejagham language. See who can give us 100% translation. So when we do this thing, when we do this competition, we're going to do beauty contests in Ejagham. So we see how Ejagham ladies look like. When we do these things, the winners of this contest, typically what we do is the winners of this contest are given cars or they are given cash money and bye-bye till next year. when we do another contest. But here, when we carry out these competitions, the winners will, are going to be, because these are business potentials. The winners of these contests will then be mentored by our successful businessmen, which I talked about earlier on. So we will solicit the knowledge of our MBAs, the knowledge of our professors, to coach these young winners on how to set up a business. So we move from knowing how to sew clothes, from knowing how to cook, from knowing how to, come up with Ejagham craft and objects. We move from just knowing how to do that and winning cars and winning prize monies which you run out in a few months, to actually teaching them how to turn that into a business. So when I say this, it's beyond just singing and dancing. These are some of the things that we need to do. And we have the capacity. We have the people. Ejagham people are there, all across the Ejagham nation. So we'll do our best. But I want to use this opportunity to appeal to our brothers and sisters, whether you are in legal profession, whether you are a businessman, whether you are a tradition custodian, we need your help. So to the question, what do members do? We have people who are too firm and too Christ in this organization. They need to demystify, demonize what we have told people about our institutions. That is some of the roles that people need to play. That's why I say we are all involved in this. So our traditional custodian, those who have been given elevated titles, they need to come and educate the young people and let them know that our institutions are the backbone of our existence. And that way, we will be able to move from where we are always complaining to our children smiling in the future to say, I am proudly Ejagham.
That was a beautiful response to that question. Another thing we need to look at is the conception, the misconception that may exist about the framing of the organization, and that is politics. We were told by Professor Senator Sandy Anom that movements have been existing to see how to unite the Ejagham people, and in the 1980s one came of the Ejagham Cultural Association, but it died off because it gave itself to political undertones. And how is this organization structured now to ensure that it outlives and goes stronger than any political conspiracy can destroy?
Oh, that's a good question, and I think people really need to understand. And the reason I say it's a good question because we have had people who were on our platform, and when they brought up the subject of politics, and we tried to redirect them that this is a non-political organization, they left. Now, knowledge is power. I am aware that there are multiple political platforms out there dealing with Ejagham matter. I am aware that those political platforms are strong and have a lot of followership. I am aware that politics, every person is in one way or another a political participant. But as I said earlier on, there is one thing that binds all of us together. I don't have the same political ideas as you. You don't have the same political ideas as myself. I'm probably not in the same religion as you are. Therefore, when we meet under those umbrellas, our opinions will be different, sometimes very sharp. In Ejagham tradition, not only are we non-political, non-denominational, non-profit, but you said earlier on that we are a registered organization. We are registered to perform within a certain umbrella. So we are not registered to perform in a political environment. We are registered within the law to function as a non-political, non-religious, and non-profit organization. So being a responsible organization, we will not allow any aspect of that to creep into EjT. Because one, in those politics, we don't agree. We have different, objectives, depending on which political party you belong to. Therefore, we will hardly come to a consensus. But there is one thing that cuts across the entire Ejagham nation: our ways of life as Ejagham, our identity. If you go to any community that says the Ejagham, and they don't have our charm, and where it's not there, then that's not an Ejagham, not part of the Ejagham nation. So that which binds us together, which is our tradition, our values, and our culture and custom, that is the basis on which we are going to come together, because I know we can agree on that. The reason I know we can agree on that, because people I don't know have registered it. And I've spoken to people who have been waiting for this situation, for this kind of, come together, for this global or charm of Ejagham tradition. So I am fairly confident that even those who truly don't understand, the basis upon which we established, please don't go away. Come in. We'll try and let you understand the basis upon which we are operating. You can belong to your political party. You can belong to your religion. That you can keep that. Not a problem. We are not interfering with any of that. But as you come to EjT, you understand that you are coming here to protect your heritage, to safeguard your heritage, so that you can move this from our generation, just like our forebears preserved it and kept it for us. We need to do the same for future generations.
That's so interesting to know. And I think there is need to emphasize on this aspect so that people who are watching us will really know what the organization stands for. And beyond that, let us go back to the nature of Ejagham communities in the Nigeria and the Cameroon area, since the organization is building up from here before expanding to other countries where the Ejagham people are found. Very recently on the platform, you could hear people saying, oh, Bako is Ejagham, or this other group is Ejagham. It means we have come to a point where we don't even know ourselves anymore. And EjT is beginning to create this awareness at the platform level. How are we going to extend this to the village person who does not know that the tomb is Ejagham where he himself in Bako?
Well, first and foremost, yes, you are correct about people on the platform saying, well, it's Bako, Ejagham, I thought this was an Ejagham environment. There were comments like that, and many similar comments. But then I referred the school to the word, please tell me what Bako means in your language. And all of a sudden, the realization comes, Bako actually means take. And then they realize that truly and truly we have brothers, Ejagham brothers in the Bako cluster. Now, I hate to say that we've not done this in the past, because we have. But maybe we haven't done it well enough. So, in order to allow other people who are not on the platform to know that there are people in Bako who are their brothers here, even in the Cameroons, what we need to do, and I'm not saying I have the solution to it, because we really have to engage and find a way forward. But one of the things we need to do is to go to the communities. We will have to go to communities. Now, when I said we'll be carrying out competitions, in particular, competitions related to language, that's going to bring an improvement to the language. Now, those competitions are going to be held in the communities. At levels where they have to, once you win at a certain level, you come to the next level until we come to the grand finale. So the key thing is to go to the people. Yes, we're doing it on the internet, on WhatsApp, and the night books elitists. This is not an elitist organization. We will have to build up our strategy with the help of the leadership team, with the help of all members. So when I said, whatever it is you're doing in your cluster, Ejagham people belong to age grades. So tell the people in your age grades. Tell the women organization. Tell the people that who are in communities, men's organizations. Tell them, if you are a member of EjT and you are in those organizations and those organizations don't know anything about EjT, then there's work to be done. When you ask the question, what is the responsibility of our members? That is the responsibility of members. So the way we are going to take this to the communities, for them to know that we, all the way from Kuo to Bako, extending to the Cameroons and South Africa and elsewhere, we are all brothers. The dialect can be different. All you need to do is pay attention and you pick the words. You understand. One of the members of our organization told me that there was a time he's from Bako, Ejagham. He traveled from Ogoja, the trip was to come to Calabar. When they arrived at Kampala, they stopped over to see the chairman of Kampala. And in that discussion with the chairman of Akampa, he could hear the chairman speaking Ejagham language. And he was shocked. He was wondering, where am I? I thought I was in Akampa, where the language, the people belong to any other community other than Ejagham. So, even at his, this was a full-grown man. He didn't know that Akampa people were Ejagham people. Neither Akampa would know that. But others were Ejagham. So it's about time. This platform is bringing us together so we know ourselves and try to accomplish what we want for future generations.
How is the organization structured and how is the leadership team structured to ensure that the movement reaches the grassroots level?
Well, we are a new organization, so we have a structure at the moment, and this structure will change depending on the requirements as we grow. But at the moment, we have a structure that will fulfill my initial thoughts when I was thinking about the organization. And I was thinking that what I mean by that is whatever that is going to ensure that we, we transmit a healthy Ejagham tradition to future generations has to be something that is generational. It's not something that will be temporary. Because I think the reason why most of other organizations, some withered away, is because they were not structured to be generational. So what we have done, and I said, is subject to review, is that I am the president of EjT, but all the clusters have vice presidents. So you have vice president called Ejagham, you have vice president Akampa Ejagham, you have vice president Ejagham, you have vice president Bako Ejagham, and you have vice president Ejagham Cameroon. So these vice presidents carry a whole lot of responsibilities on them to make sure that what we decide in the leadership team, what our vision is about, what our mission is about, our objectives are cascaded to the local communities. The vice presidents then will have liaison officers as required to help them with that facilitation. The liaison officers will then have clan representatives. So you can see we are moving to all levels of community. So you have the president looking after the vice president looking after the entire cluster. They have liaison officers that will help them, and then these liaison officers have clan representatives. The clan representatives can reach the age grades, they can reach the church member, they can reach women and men organizations at local levels. That way, we will be able to take the message to the grassroots, and then we grow the rebuild of our revival from bottom up.
Wow, so nice to have you on the show today, Mr. President, and everything you say is very educating. And I'm certain that viewers out there now have a clear picture of what the Ejagham Tradition Organization is all about. As a person, I'm energized to hear the words you speak, and I'm very optimistic that everything that we have set out to do will in the near future put Ejagham tradition and Ejagham culture and custom, everything that concerns the Ejagham person in the global community of cultures very soon. And we'll definitely have you on the show again, but before then, the viewers need to hear a last word from you.
Let me just say that we have done this before. There is nothing new that I'm telling Ejagham people today. Perhaps in the past, we have been dealing with these things in silos. I want to appeal to Ejagham people that we should eliminate these silos and work together, come together as a people, and try and ensure that we hand over a healthy Ejagham tradition to future generations. In my opinion, all stakeholders need to be involved in this. There is no stakeholder who is more important than the other. We need everybody. We need our entrepreneurs. We need our legal communities. We need our friends. We need our artists. We need our media and entertainment experts. We need our historians. We need our academia body. We need our custodians, their tour farms and their tour guides. We need everybody to come on board. Ladies and gentlemen, Ejagham heritage is a precious gift that our forefathers left to us, which we must transmit to future generations. We were not allowed to drop the baton. The baton is with us today. We must not drop that baton. We need to hand it over, but we need to hand over a healthy Ejagham tradition. Remember, we are stronger together than we will ever be divided. Thank you very much. Ejagham Kubuno.